She had the decision. She could either say, "What's wrong with me? Why did he do that to me? He must not have liked me. There must be something wrong with me."
Internalizing it.
Yes. Or saying, "Wow, he must be having a bad day."
Hey everyone, thank you for coming back to our second session with my parents. And we're talking about parenting and raising your child in a godly home, and so much of the foundation has already been laid. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't already listened to that one, you should, even if you're in this stage. So we're talking about more of the older children, teens. But a lot of the principles we already talked about, I think, are pretty necessary for going on in the conversation. So if you haven't listened to that, listen to that, then come to this one.
All right, so we'll jump right into more questions.
Okay.
So we're kind of talking about preteen, teenhood here. So this question is, how do I teach my child to never put up with bullying, yet show kindness to all? And I guess this could apply even to younger kids too.
Wow. Well, I think the principle that we always tried to teach our kids was to be others-minded. When a child learns to not just think of themselves, when they're whole, when they're being raised with love and confidence, then it's so much easier for them to reach out when someone looks different or someone is different, or they're not the most popular person on the team or whatever. They can just be thoughtful of others. This is such a hard and such a...
Can I mention an example of that? When the children were young, and even a teenager can learn this as well from the parent, we didn't allow for an excuse, I'm shy, for example, that the child's shy for not greeting maybe someone coming over from church or a stranger, reaching out to shake their hand or greet them. And you know how a child will hide behind the parent? Well, we didn't allow that as an excuse. I'm shy, or we would never say they're shy, because that's labeling them and defining them. We would have.
Then they live up to what
they would live
Yes.
up to that.
They excuse themselves.
We would no, you come out and you shake their hand, and we would teach them, later on, if that didn't go well, the next time that happens, this is how you do it. You shake their hand, you look them in the eye and say, "Hello, my name is," and you teach them that, because that is teaching them to go out from themselves. They're not just thinking about themselves. People that are shy or withdrawn, they're not thinking about others, they're thinking about themselves, and it makes them even want to retreat further into themselves, because it's all about them. They're looking at me, and well, they're not looking at you. You think they are, that you've been trained, we've allowed that to happen.
Right.
So you can train them to be others-minded and courteous,
as opposed to self-centered.
Yes. Now, I don't know if that addresses the bully issue, but somebody who is others-minded and is kind, taught to be courteous, is not normally a bully, and not normally someone who is selfish and tries to hurt others for their own benefit.
What about, I think this question may be referring to putting up with bullying, to not be bullied themselves. How do they be assertive and stand up for themselves?
I feel like I remember you guys talking to me about something like that a long time ago. And they said, you guys were teaching me and talking about trying to see the person behind what's happening.
I get,
Yeah.
And I remember you saying, that person is most likely hurting.
Yes.
And this person has probably been bullied.
Yes.
And now they're pushing it onto you. You don't have to accept that.
No.
That doesn't define you.
Yeah.
Remember that happened in the park that day?
But be compassionate.
Which one?
When you were a little boy, and there was a little kid that was just following you around.
At Miwok Park?
No.
It was in
McKinley Park. And we were all there at the park.
Yes, and he was
There
a
was
little
a couple.
boy.
There was two little boys.
Yes, and he didn't like you. He locked in on you, and he was.
They were making fun of our family.
Yeah.
Remember? They were,
Yeah,
should
the
I
something
say?
family.
The Weenie family.
The
The
Weenie
Weenie
family.
The Weenie family.
They're calling us the
The
Weenie
Weenie
family. And so he was bullying, and we I forget what we did. I didn't, because he was
You
I
like,
can't remember what we did.
You were, I think it was really kind of a first, you were probably 10 or 11 or so.
Yeah.
And it was your first experience with,
where is this coming from?
what on earth?
What's your problem?
Yeah.
That's the deal.
And, but it enraged you. You were angry and hurt at the same time. I remember thinking, these little stinkers had robbed my precious boy of this innocent thought that we're just a wonderful family and we love each
Now
other.
we're the weenie family.
Ah, the
And
weenie
why
family.
on earth would they say that? But we had the conversation that from, I hate to say this, but from their appearance,
Yeah.
you know, there was obviously something in them that saw something in us, that blessing and that
That
cohesiveness,
didn't like it.
that they didn't have it
Yeah.
very
So they
possibly.
wanted to tear it down.
They were by themselves. They were young kids
Yeah.
by themselves downtown in a park.
Yeah.
That probably meant that there wasn't a lot of parameters for
Sure.
them, a lot of family structure.
Yeah.
That they were lashing out,
Yeah.
most likely because it hurt them to see something that they didn't have.
Behind the lash out, there's a motive.
Yes.
And there's
And it's
most likely a
normally
hurt.
pain.
And we
Yes.
tried to relay that too. I remember we talked to everybody. We were on the way home in the car. We were talking.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? There's probably a lot of hurting, a lot of stuff going on in their lives. That we tried to create compassion for them.
Compassion.
It's
Yeah.
compassion. That I
Yes.
think
That's
what
good.
we always try. I remember going back to a lot of times was trying to see it from their perspective.
Yes.
What's
Yes.
happening in them?
In their lives.
And this goes to so many different, besides bullying, but
Mm-hmm.
so many different aspects. But what's happening in their lives that would
Absolutely.
contribute to them wanting to do this?
One of my favorite stories, and I just said it to someone a few days ago in counseling with them. We heard a story years ago about a little girl jumping rope outside her home, in a brownstone, New York City, jumping rope, just having the best day, just jumping rope and being happy, and a little boy walking by and her saying, "Hi," and him just sneering or just rejecting her by not returning her excitement, and her jumping and kind of thinking, "Oh, that was, man." And she had the decision. She could either say, "What's wrong with me? Why did he do that to me? He must not have liked me. There must be something wrong with me."
Internalizing it.
Yes. Or saying, "Wow," and this is what she did, "Wow, he must be having a bad day. I'm sorry for him." And not thinking, just seeing that compassionately,
Yeah.
I'm not the problem. I'm not falling apart. There must be something wrong with his world.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
somebody asked the little girl, "Why aren't you angry with that?" "Oh, because it's not me. It's he's just having a bad day," type of thing.
Yeah.
So all the way you look at it,
Yeah.
man, this goes to
It
so
is.
many different
Yes.
like ways of helping individuals,
Yes.
because we do this with life.
Yes.
And I know this isn't the place to talk about that, but
No, but
we
we're
do this-
setting that up.
Yeah,
We're
for
setting
sure.
up that mindset.
Yeah.
Right. Do we
From
how do we
maturity.
frame it?
So you teach them to have compassion and,
Yes.
and to reframe their experience.
Also, at the same time, there has to be that introspection. Did you say something unkind? Were you, if you're being bullied, let's look. Have you done anything? Because we also don't want
Sure.
to say, my little Johnny, he never does wrong.
Right.
The little boy with the knife behind his back and the tires are slit next to him, and his mom is saying, "He would never do that." You're like, "No, Mom, I would never do that."
Nope.
We
Right.
have to see that they're little
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah.
But once we know, okay, it's not something you did or
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
then we have
Yeah.
compassion.